Aditya Narayan Mishra, Managing Director and CEO at CIEL HR Services. Aditya, very good evening and thank you so much for joining in with us on the show. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, Vinik. Good to be here and good evening to all your viewers.
Absolutely. Aditya, let's start this exciting conversation because where we have seen everyone running to startups in the last few years, exciting salaries, that was the trend there. Now seems like employees are moving back to that traditional services and traditional jobs is what they are looking at. How fast is this pace of change that you're seeing now?
Yeah, I think startup as a segment has always been considered as a high risk and high reward segment. However, what we saw in 2021 and 22, there was a huge amount of boom in this particular sector, the amount of investments that flowed into this sector, the belief that the whole world is becoming digital and so on, really flourished, made the startup sector to flourish. The campuses and the talent pool in general had an extremely positive outlook towards startup as a sector. Uh, Probably many people really sort of undermined the risks associated with startup as a segment. And as a result, what we saw is as the boom went away and a new normal got established, the layoffs and the kind of challenges that the sector has been witnessing through global funding winter and all of this really has again turned the upswing to a downswing. So there are, now the sentiment towards the sector has turned negative. And this study that we did, it's really a large study, covers a huge number of companies. And we are noticing that people are worried about three things. One is about their job security, because they have seen the kind of distress in families for people, those who were drawing huge amount of salaries now are struggling to find something else. Secondly, we are seeing that people are worried about the work-life balance. Startup as a segment is sort of coming up. There is a lot of uncertainty, a lot of sort of deadlines which one has to meet, and work-life balance goes for a sort of a extreme kind of a toss. And then you have other kind of challenges which come. So people are worried about it. And thirdly, there are some startups which are at a very early stage. The future is really uncertain. So people find better salary packages in traditional sectors. So these are three factors that our survey finds. And now the sentiments have kind of turned. And some of these things, from my experience, I can tell you that these are also cyclical. So there is an upswing and there is a downswing. So currently we are possibly in that downswing. And now slowly, the good news is that when we talk to the companies, we see a positive outlook in a few quarters from now in this calendar year 2024, where things are expected to become better. So that's the sentiment that we are picking up from the employers. So it's an interesting scenario. On one hand, employers are showing optimism but cautious, and on the other, employees are still uncertain, are are in a little bit of a trading the path carefully.
Right. Aditya, you've answered a couple of my questions, but what I want to know is you were saying that this is a cyclical change, right? So that means this is mainly because the funding winter was going on. So they also cannot pay, and that is the risk that was there right now, even for startups. So do you think if the funding comes back, again, we'll see the trend change and this is just a short-term scenario then?
Yeah, I think as funding will again come back for sure. The number of unicorns that India has had and the kind of credentials that Indian talent market and the entrepreneurs and the investment climate and all of that, the supporting environment has already established its worth. So it's going to come back for sure. And as funding comes back, whether it will trace the exactly the same path, I think it will be a little too much to say that exactly the same thing is going to happen. I don't think that exactly the same thing is going to happen. That means it is again going to become, completely the opposite of what we have seen. Like the campuses were welcoming, laying a red carpet for all the startups to come in. The students in the campuses were extremely open to join the startups. They sometimes actually didn't give importance to the usual day zero, day one companies in those premium campuses and preferred some of the startups. I'm not sure whether that kind of an excitement and jubilation is going to happen. However, a new normal is probably going to get established. That's what I feel.
Normal will get established, but right now when a employer, a person who's shifting, is there any specific sector that they're looking at in terms of getting an employment, these employees shifting from startups to established companies? So which sort of companies? Is it more still in the world of tech, or where are they going, which sector?
I think they're all very talented people. The startups have been able to attract very good people. So they are sort of today hot property in many other companies across industry sectors. It's of course the ability to match their compensation or at least be in that range. Just to give an example, let's say okay, the startups were paying somebody with a 7 to 10 years kind of an experience with a good marketing degree from one of the premium colleges in India was in a 70 lakhs to 1 crore kind of a salary. So the person now, let's say, is looking for an established company. The person can go, the person can go to any sector for that matter, where there is where there is a match, either B2B or a B2C kind of an approach, but the marketing techniques remain more or less the same. So somebody who's coming from a B2C kind of a business model of a startup moves to a retail, maybe in hospitality, maybe a BFSI segment, telecom segment. There are huge amount of opportunities. However, the salary matching is the question. So some of them are willing to take a cut in that because the compensation that they were getting in startups included often a component of ESOP, which today has, the value of that ESOP today has not been established because of what happened to the sector. And hence, in an established company, even if you are taking a 30 to 40% cut, you are not probably losing much and your career continues to flourish. And there is the most important part of stability, which comes along with it. So I see, to answer your question, where are they going? They are going to all these sectors. Of course, the people who are from the tech side of it, like the people who were in the engineering roles in the startups, are now moving to the IT services companies and all other these names that I said, consumer goods, retail, hospitality, all this telecom, BFSI, all construction, all of this, their engineering digitization is happening and engineering people move from the startups to all of these. Sales and marketing, based on their function, finance, based on their function, they move from this to all these traditional sectors.
Absolutely. And, any conversations you're having with startups in terms of hiring, what is it that you see there? While employees are leaving, is there a need for employees for these startup companies? Are they looking for a replacement there? What is the understanding there?
No, see, both the things are happening. One is that the startups are replacing some of the critical roles which are getting vacated by somebody who was there in that role. And on the other side, the traditional industries are open to look at high quality talent who have got exposed to working under a very high levels of uncertainty in a very collaborative environment, in a very is very open to work in an environment where changes are happening too frequently, and agility as a behavior is sort of ingrained in it. So some of these softer aspects or the skills that these candidates get to learn and nurture in a startup environment is being sort of appreciated in these traditional sectors. And they have been quite open. Sometimes they create a role to look at how to really fit, say, talent which is available from the startup sector.
Absolutely, Aditya. Thank you so much for joining in with us and giving us all those insights about what's happening in the sectors. Hoping for that turnaround in the startup soon, and in the next couple of quarters, we'll be seeing them coming back and all those exciting jobs over there. But thank you so much, Aditya, for joining in with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.